Welcome to the Retribalize podcast, episode number 1. Today, we're diving deep into building a new ethnos. Ethnos is a Greek word that means a people or a nation. And this is the most important thing that founders need to think about when building new teams, communities, and even towns and cities, which this whole entire channel and project is dedicated to. So starting with a question for you, why were the Jews successful at building a new startup state, the state of Israel, when most small intentional communities fail? Most small community projects or nation projects, they all fail. Why? Well, the Jews, they had an ethnos already. They had a shared sense of this is who we are. This is where we are going. This is what we believe in, and this is what we stand for. They had a shared common spirit. And culture is a manifestation of the spirit of a people. And the problem is in the West, the shared ethnos or spirit has been destroyed. People don't have shared social bonds or a shared sense of identity anymore. So trying to build a new community when everyone has their own microcultures is really challenging. And this is why we need to get really canny and cunning and intelligent about how we start building our wolf packs, how we start building a new sense of a people. And I think we all deeply want this. We want shared social bonds again. We want to be part of something bigger, right? And a sense of this is us and having pride in who we are. And to do this, my friends, you have to get real with uniting hearts of your team, of your community, not just minds. This is what a lot of people totally miss. So let's dive into some of the principles of building a new ethnos, of building a real people, because this is going to be the foundation that everything else comes from. I don't care about all the technology and strategies and economic policies and all that shit if you don't have a team that has a shared identity again. Without that, everything else doesn't really matter. So in terms of building a healthy culture and a healthy ethnos, a lot of people start at the wrong place. Culture doesn't come just from proximity or work, business, or ideologies. It doesn't even come from shared values and principles. This is going to blow a lot of people's minds. It doesn't come from shared values and principles. Those are guardrails put on later. Values and principles, like a constitution of a people, that is how you form once you have a people already. Real culture, a real ethnos, comes from a few very specific things. 1 is shared vision. 2, shared striving, and 3, shared rituals. We're going to dive deep into all of these because these are the foundation of every successful cult, successful nation, successful people or tribe, is they have these 3 things in place. So let's just dive in. I'm going to go raw on some of the things on how to build this from the ground up in our real lives. So I know a lot of you are wanting to have stronger brotherhood, to build real tribe, build real villages again. Where do you start? Well, the preliminary step is that you need shared spaces. You need to have proximity with your people consistent exposure. And I encourage everyone to do this both online and in real life. If you are a leader out there and you're inspired to build new culture and new towns, you need to prioritize getting around kindred people, good people, every week. And just building familiarity. You need to build your familiar world. And the issue is, there's a lot of issues with doing that, which we're going to get into in a little bit. The second step of building a new ethnos is you have to have a shared vision, a sacred vision, right? And this is the thing that truly unites people in the first place, is a common goal, a shared purpose or ideal. And the more lofty and spiritually juicy that ideal is, the stronger the potential for the community. For instance, I have a men's community, a men's academy that I run online, and I always communicate the vision constantly. This is what a leader does, is I let people know, hey, we're here to have holistic training to become our best versions, but also create communal flourishing. Our goal is to build relationships and culture online that translates into real life. And I also communicate the vision for my own life to people, and it's become more clear as I've gotten further on my journey that I'm about to embark on world travels and create a nomadic brotherhood. And then after that, build a town. So you need a vision, my friends. And I have lofty and grandiose visions, but also, I've come into them in my own. And for each one of you out there, the more clear your vision is, and hopefully it's an inspiring thing, that's how you start uniting people together. A lot of eco-villages and intentional communities absolutely fail here. They have no higher vision other than we're just here to like be free and, do some farming and have fun. Like they have nothing that's actually moving them forward and upward. And that goes into number 3, shared striving. Men bond shoulder to shoulder. My friends, my greatest relationships I've ever had in my whole life, sometimes we'd barely talk. We'd get together because we wanted to get into an Ivy League school, right? So we'd get together and do homework. We'd compete in ping pong. We'd compete in chess. We were just constantly rivals and striving together. And this created a really deep bond between us. It harkens back to ancient Greece. The princes and aristocrats of ancient Greece, they would always surround their sons with companions. Like Alexander the Great had Ptolemy, Hephaestion, Black Cletus all around him. And guess what? Aristotle made them compete in debate and intellectual games. Their fathers made them compete on the hunt. They competed in training. They competed all the time, but they weren't trying to destroy each other. They were trying to make each other more excellent because they were striving for the pinnacle of manhood. They were striving to become great. So the deepest bonds you'll ever have in your life is when you have a shared vision and mission and you're striving together. So like, even if I had a nomadic brotherhood, right? And we're renting houses in Bali and Indonesia and Thailand and whatnot, if we're just hanging out, we're not going to create those deep bonds that all of us really want to see. We need an ideal that we're heading for, right? And working towards together. And especially if you can have a business project, there's a couple different ways to create shared striving. One is, even in your own life right now, if you go to the gym, if you have a meditation practice, right? Find friends who want to do that with you, who want to strive for excellence with you, who want to read and debate with you, who want to compete with you. And ideally, if you are an entrepreneur, you're creating a business where you can hire kindred people, like-minded people to come work with you. The more you can create a shared sense of striving in many areas of your life, the deeper the bonds will go. And this brings us to number 4, which is ritual. This is something so many people miss, especially like the network state guys and people who are really interested in economics for new communities and whatnot. And also like business leaders, they're missing a shared freaking ritual. Leadership and building culture is ultimately about winning hearts, not minds. It's about winning hearts, not minds. This is why ideological communities fail. Because they have mental agreement, but they don't have an experience that gets them out of their ego and out of their mind and into their heart in a shared ritual with their tribe, with their people. But when you do this, it's like all these boundaries and like blockages, they fall away and you actually start to love one another. You start to see one another. You start to honor one another. And it's what brings people together. I've been in communities that feel really tightly bonded, even though the people think so differently. They're on different missions, but we have a shared ritual together. So ritual is the heart of the community. The vision is the mind. You need both of these things. And studies have shown that a community that dances together stays together. Getting into the body, dancing, competing, expressing, celebrating, praying, these things nourish the deeper part of our soul and help us connect in a real and raw way with other humans. Powerful shared experiences are always the center of every healthy culture. It is the glue that binds people together. And if you notice, it is what the West has totally lost. Hence, the West is dying. The idea of church has basically fallen away, which used to be our shared ritual. We'd all get together to see each other, exchange pleasantries, but then pray. And before church, my friends, the shared rituals of pagan and indigenous communities are insane. They're an experience of dancing and ecstasy around the fire all night, right? Where you literally obliterate your ego and come into a more Dionysic state of consciousness with your tribe. Like if you've ever been to a music festival, maybe you've done a little bit of MDMA or LSD there with your friends and you're just dancing and letting the music move you for hours straight. You get into this state that is like rapturous love, and it's a way to connect beneath the swords of the mind. And man, I've had my closest friends are always the ones who do shared rituals with me. And trying to build a family or a community solely on intellectual or practical agreements, as I said, is a hellscape of superficial connections and disagreements. This is what the ideological dorks don't get. And based on my quick read of the network state and similar things, most people are missing this, my friends. I am privileged that I am a reformed hippie in a sense, is that I got to do all these different rituals and meditating in ashrams, competing in sports, doing pagan ceremonies in the forest, and music festivals. And those are the experiences that I've seen bond communities so strongly, like stronger than anything else on earth. So this comes to a main point for all the founders out there, all the leaders, is you got to focus on winning hearts, not minds. Focus on winning hearts must be the focus. And this is why like constitution and values are cool, but they come later. A lot of people are convinced that rationality is how people bond, but it's not true. We bond through myth. We bond through music. We bond through dance. We bond through ritual. So culture emerges downstream when kindred people share a mission and ritualistic events. And we all crave this today. We're so goddamn like repressed and atomized in modernity, and we lack the ritualistic festivals that once like broke us out of our egos radically. A couple ways to create these, my friends, like really in a grounded way, these shared rituals, is one, if you have access to a sauna and cold plunge center, or better yet, build a sauna and cold plunge in your backyard, so you can when you have the community over consistently, right? You have a shared ritual where you sauna, you cold plunge, you meditate, and maybe you play music or you dance and freestyle or you compete in something, right? You have this ritualistic Sunday. And I've always thought of it as Sunday fun day. Like right now in my life, every Sunday I go play volleyball, I go out to dinner, and then I go dance with my community. And it's such a fun time of play, of ceremony, of like just dropping in with our hearts. And this is so important because especially if you're working with people, you need experiences that break you out of like the normal working state of mind into an ecstatic experience of being alive. So those are the 4 things that leaders need to think about, right? And if you want to talk about any of this in more depth with me, there's a link below. You can apply for a one-on-one chat with me. I'd love to discuss with you. So after you have those couple of things, I want to talk about the perennial questions and values. So this is usually where a lot of founders start. And, even in the Men's Academy, we have a shared constitution, which has brotherly love, loyalty, respect, honor, those kinds of things. But like me listing off loyalty, respect, honor, brotherly love, for you right now, it doesn't really mean much to you, right? It's like, yes, this is an abstract idea, but it doesn't really speak to the heart. And that's what I'm saying is earlier, like the ritual, the shared striving, the mythos, the vision, those things speak to the heart, much more important than values. But once you are together, you can agree on a shared, value point. Shared sense of values or shared principles. And this is actually how you give form to the community. So the formation comes later. It comes organically. Perennial questions. These are very interesting when it comes to building a shared sense of values. And the perennial questions are like, what is death? What is God? What is sacred? What is a good life? And what is the purpose and ideal of living? These questions, asking these big questions, we don't do that anymore in modernity. We have removed these big questions away from the center of our lives, and that's why everything feels freaking absurd and meaningless, is because we don't have agreement or conversations about how to face death well, right? What is the purpose of, living and being? So what I would recommend is with your boys, with your tribe, with your community, is like pose these questions, like sit in symposium again, and in symposium, talk about what's the ideal of life? What's the purpose of living? Like what's most important in a brotherhood or in your community, and write those things down and like have conversations and get clear. And forming a coherent and consistent way of relating to God, life, death, and virtue is essential. This is where culture comes into formation, right? Like any culture you can think of, they answer these questions because these questions are at the center of them. Any indigenous culture, pagan culture, classical culture, they all had a way of relating to God, life, death, and virtue. But use caution here again, is this will emerge naturally from shared conversations and shared experiences. A lot of founders bring too much ideology with them. I make this mistake all the time, with my friends. And instead of you can't just write new holy books, my friends, and become a prophet and this is the way to the good life. No one's going to buy it, right? What people respect is that you can communicate from the heart, you're wise in counsel, and you can organically, naturally lead, everyone to a greater realization and source collective wisdom there. So you can't be an authoritarian dictator when it comes to deciding values. You got to do it with a team. So let's put this all into practice and look in history at what communities, what cultures actually were successful. And the most successful cultures, my friends, the most successful decentralized communities and real life civilizational projects are not the million diverse eco-villages and tech communities. Eco-villages usually lack vision, they lack shared striving, they lack shared rituals. Same with tech communities. They're just they're bonded through the mind, and this is very weak. And you will never create a new city if you don't have a new people, a real people. So the communities that have actually done it successfully are the Mormons, the Mennonites, the Jews. They've been doing this shit for centuries. The Mormons founded their own city and took over an entire state of Utah. The Mennonites and Amish have their own culture, economy, education, and governance structures. They have been growing decentralized communities all over the Americas for centuries. In Bolivia, the Mennonite population has grown from 70,000 in 2013 to 150,000 today. They're basically self-contained civilizational projects. Then there's the Jews, who founded their own nation after World War II. I think this is an important historical point, is today, if you and everyone that you are connected to in your network or whatever kind of community you're building were given Israel or given an island to go build a new community, you would fail. And that's because you don't have an ethnos. You don't have a people. You just have all these diverse people with their own microcultures, and there's no unifying spiritual organism holding it together. The Jews, though, they had an ethnos. They had a people, and therefore they could build their own nation. The most interesting case study of successful startup communities, though, is the Osho community. Rajneesh formed around a spiritual leader, Osho, and radical practices of liberation in the 1980s. It was the most explosive movement in recent history. You can go watch Wild Wild Country on Netflix to see the documentary of Osho. And it's basically a proto-network state, my friends. The Osho community bought a 64,000-acre ranch, and in just 4 years, they built a small city, took over a town, and accumulated 7,000 plus residents, and operated with near total autonomy. Worldwide, the movement grew to over 100,000 members or sannyasins. 100,000, my friends, in 4 years. 100,000 members of a network state that had a town, that had political power, that had resources. And these outposts started businesses and meditation centers to accumulate resources and membership for the rapidly growing network. This is crazy, my friends. The fact that they did this pre-internet is insane. And just think, if you could leverage the power of the internet to connect like-minded people and unite them around a shared spiritual practice, unite them around a shared vision and a way of liberation, right? My God, we could build something like this, but instead of it being a cult centered around a leader, let's build a new city instead. The reason for the Osho community's explosive growth, in my mind, was the Osho movement was founded on a shared spiritual or ritualistic experience that created an ethnos. Religion has always been the center of every successful cult or culture, from Greek pagans to Mormons. Osho's cult was edgy, fun, liberating, and it answered some of the big questions of life. Hence, it attracted young and talented people from all over the world who are looking for their tribe. This is the thing, my friends, is if you can build a community with vitality in it, like my vision for a nomadic brotherhood group of badasses, like that vision has so much vitality in it. As I start getting that ball rolling and sharing my, experience and journey online, it's going to attract young and talented people from all over the world. This is how you do it, my friends. This is how you start a new community. But how to not be a cult, though? Just don't proclaim yourself as a divine mouthpiece of God or sexually assault people, and you should be good. My friends, the quality of leadership has to increase. We have to move beyond the cult fallacy and the commune fallacy of the 1900s and move into more of a town. Like, you can be a leader with a vision, right? And you communicate that vision and then surround yourself with a wise counsel. That's what you got to do, instead of, like, no one buys this culty prophet mouthpiece of God anymore. No one buys the religious founder or like the philosopher who has this code of conduct. No, like, people will listen if you can unite their hearts. So let's talk for a second about religion, because a lot of people have a bad taste in their mouth when it comes to religion. It's full of dogma. You know, people have bad experiences with the church, and I understand it. But religion, simply put, is a shared spiritual practice, a shared ritual that you do consistently. And the thing is all of this spirituality, like New Age spirituality today, everyone is doing their own spiritual practice that isn't structured, and it's not with others. Spiritual practice takes on a whole new level of meaning and hierarchy when it's done with others in a consistent and disciplined way. And this is going to spark fierce debates, but ultimately, my friends, you need an organic religion of some kind, even if you don't call it that. It's just, hey, every Sunday we get together, we do intermittent fasting, we do cold plunge meditation, prayer, and then we get together and do a celebration. Like, something like that could be the source of religion, although I think that needs to be subordinated to a higher spiritual ideal. That would get much deeper into a video about traditionalism, which I'll maybe make in the future. So I covered a lot of ground there, my friends. But ultimately, for the leaders out there, what you have to start doing is building your wolf pack. This is the most important thing for any of us to do. Like, you don't have to build a whole new town by yourself, my friends. Find 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 friends and build really close bonds with them through these 4 steps: space, vision, shared striving, and ritual. If you can do that, even with a small group of a couple people, you'll start building new culture and strong bonds between yourselves. And if you can do that with a few people and then unite with me and some others who are also doing that with people, and if we all share a culture, we could join into one larger organism, or your own movement could start growing. The thing is, my friends, if we want to start new towns and like create an antidote to the chaos of modernity, the most important thing in the entire world is building your wolf pack. And this is where you need to take the reins of your own life, and like look at the people around you who you already feel kindred with. How can you start prioritizing the friends in your life, creating shared rituals and shared striving with them? And then also, how can you leverage the power of the internet to filter the entire world to find the exact ones like you? That's why I'm starting this channel. That's why I'm speaking raw to the leaders out there is, hey, come connect with me. Come join the men's community. And you'll find a filtered network of other awesome men that you might really bond with. And if you're working to liberate your locational freedom, you can go meet them. You can go travel together. They can come to you, right? And if we build real culture online just by creating a shared space that we show up to every week, that's what the men's community is. We have, multiple calls every single week, and guys are showing up consistently. We build a relationship and we build a culture that starts online. We can vet each other, and then we can bring that into real life. And my friends, the crazy thing is just one good friend, like one great friend, can change your life forever. So yeah, leverage the tools around you. Start building community in every way you can in your local space and your online space. The best way to do it online, my friends, is to start a YouTube channel like this. Make real, raw, authentic content. Do reaction videos to other creators that you like. Start bonding with them. YouTube's the best thing ever because it's a portfolio of who you are. And if you're authentic, you can meet other people who are also like you. And my God, I've met most of my best friends through this means. So if you are a potential friend of mine and want to join what we're doing, there's a link below to come join us. But that was my quick video notes on building an ethnos. I think a million more things could be said here, but this is the preliminary thought. We need to build a shared sense of this is us, this is what we stand for, that is where we're going. This is the Retribalize project. My name is Christian. Peace.